When the Prime Minister Ariel Henry put that request at the UNSC, different countries did not want to take up this task. Canada was asked and they said, nah, I think we'll pass this. The USA now will pass this. France, of course, France cannot go back to Haiti. And there has been another UN mission in Haiti called MINUSTA from 2004 to 2017. That mission did not get the results that it needed. In fact, as a cause of that mission, 9,000 Haitians died.
People are losing life. People are going to lose life, and that is the honest truth.
Yes.
They are going to lose life because these people have guns.
Yes.
Barbecue team have guns, and they are gangs, even if they are not trained. They are gangs. You know very well that barbecue was in is in an army. Yeah. And I know very well that he has trained those gangs.
Yes.
How is Kenya going to benefit from this war with Haiti? How are they going to benefit? What happened? What was the negotiation between Kenya and Haiti that made the Kenya police to go to Haiti?
Hello guys, welcome yet again to another great session. We are going to discuss international politics and we are still focusing on Haiti. Jeff, tell them something.
Haiti once again.
Yes.
What has really happened in Haiti this time?
The other day we read of a story where a Kenyan police officer was shot and injured in Haiti. But good thing is that he is recuperating and he's faring on well so far, as the report that we got from the head of mission. A Kenyan head of mission in Haiti.
Okay, what has really been happening in Haiti? Because there are so many people that are asking what happened. What was the negotiation between Kenya and Haiti that made the Kenya police to go to Haiti, not other country? We didn't see the Haiti go to Uganda. We didn't see the Haiti go to Tanzania. Why Kenya?
Well, if you want to understand this, you have to go back to when the situation really got bad in Haiti. And this is after President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated. And then gangs sort of tried to take over the country. But at that time, these were separate gangs. We had the G9, the GPEP, the Fonden Mawozo, Bouakale, etc. We have different gangs and they were not working together. So, but towards the end of 2023, the Prime Minister then was Ariel Henry, who decided now to go and seek support from the United Nations. And that is the United Nations Security Council. Went and submitted his request that my country is facing a lot of trouble and this country needs to be assisted. When he submitted that at the UNSC, surprisingly, no country wanted to go and help Haiti at a very critical point, because all countries sort of have had a hand. All countries that would have assisted have a hand one way or another in Haiti's history. If you're talking about the United States, it was there. If you're talking about France, it was there. If you're talking about Canada, it was there. So these countries sort of do not want to go again to Haiti. So that is why you found that as much as other Haitians would like the United States to be there, as you know, the US is the greatest country right now in terms of capability and everything. It can quell down Haiti at any moment. But the US itself will not want to go to Haiti. One, because of the history that it has with the Haitians, as well as the fact that the population in the United States right now, the politics in the United States, does not allow the United States to put its boot anywhere outside that country. It is unpopular, and of course if you want to bring something unpopular, it has repercussions on the administration of the day. So the Biden administration did not want to be the administration that will again put American boots outside the country. You remember the first thing that President Biden did when he took office is to recall American boots from Afghanistan to come back to their country. So it would be a contrast if, again, it was Biden who would now put, again, boots outside the US. So let us come back. So when the Prime Minister Ariel Henry put that request at the UNSC, different countries did not want to take up this task. Canada was asked and they said, nah, I think we'll pass this. The USA now will pass this. France, of course, France cannot go back to Haiti. And there has been another UN mission in Haiti called MINUSTA from 2004 to 2017. that mission did not get the results that it needed. In fact, as a cause of that mission, 9,000 Haitians died, yeah, out of cholera outbreak that was caused by sewage that was pushed to rivers in Haiti that led to contamination and subsequent killing of people in Haiti. So 9,000 people perished, 800,000 were infected by this cholera outbreak. So the UN sort of, because of this MINUSTAH mission, it became also unpopular. So who will help Haiti? That is where now the conversation changed from being looked at as if the US or Canada or France will come in to bring up another country that will help Haiti. And in this case, you have to look also at the neighbors. You have the Dominican Republic as the immediate neighbor, Jamaica, these other countries, Barbuda and etc. Yes, they are there, but do they have the capacity to help Haiti? Some of these countries have a population of around 400,000 people. The police there are very few. So you cannot say that such a country will take its forces to Haiti to try and quell down the lawlessness in Haiti. So it needed a country that has some kind of capacity to be able to do this task. Now, because we have, or the world has tried to put in boots in Haiti, they have tried to put in white people, let's just call them like that, white people in Haiti, and it has failed. There was the conversation how to have something different, and this is an African-led mission. And now, of course, if you're looking at deployments outside the nation or outside a nation, politics comes into play. You cannot distinguish it from politics. Politics has to come into play. And for this matter, diplomacy also comes into play. Interests have to come into play. The United States has an interest. Kenya has an interest. All countries have interests. Okay? What is the interest of the United States in this? And someone will ask, why is the United States so much interested in Haiti? It is because a lot of people who are leaving Haiti, they are going to the United States border. Okay? Immigration is a very, very important aspect also in the politics in the United States currently. Very many people are leaving the southern states, southern Latin states, to go to the United States. And this is something that the US is trying as much as possible to curtail. You remember also what happened in Venezuela. The US does not want Maduro to continue to be there because Maduro is leading an economy that is failing. And that economy is affecting people now, making people to leave the Venezuela, which is a rich country, to go to the US, and the US doesn't want that. So the same thing that the US also doesn't want to continue to happen in Haiti. As much as, or just as continued the process is of people who being lawless, of gangs taking control, of people being kidnapped, that is creating an environment where people are going to leave the country to go to the United States border. So that is the interest, we can say, as at now. We don't want to speculate on propaganda. That is what the United States has interest in Haiti, to try and make this country stable so that people will not move to the United States. So that being the sole reason why the US is interested, the US has to take that patron role to make sure that peace reigns in Haiti. And how does that come into play? Now, you remember I told you about the African perspective. Now we bring in African states. The US is looking for allies who can assist it to go to Haiti. Now, this is how Kenya will come in. If you're looking at Africa, we have different allies of the United States. Very many states in Africa have very good relationships with the US. Even states that usually are getting out statements that are not pro-US, you will be surprised they have very good relationships with the US. But there are key states in Africa that have very close relationships with the United States. One is Egypt, 2 is Nigeria, 3 is South Africa, and 4 is Kenya. So among these countries, of course, Egypt will not bring out that African perspective, the one that the US will like. Nigeria is a bit constrained right now if you look at what is going on in Nigeria, instability, Boko Haram, and everything.
At that time, I think Nigeria were going for an election.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a bit unstable. Then if you're looking at South Africa, well, South Africa has gotten out statements recently after the war in Gaza that it supports the Palestinians, that it supports Russia, it supports the East with BRICS as well. So South Africa has been going away from the policies that the US represents. So that leaves Kenya. Kenya has a very good relationship with the United States. In fact, Kenya has a base in Lamu by the United States that it helps to fight the terrorism in Somalia. Kenya and the United States have partnered in various different security issues. For example, in terror, very close relationships. You remember, it is Kenya that took a bullet for the United States in 1998 when there was a bombing here in Nairobi. So, in security-wise, Kenya and the United States are very close partners. There are American soldiers here in Kenya, training Kenyan soldiers, and there are Kenyan police officers. By the way, there is a contingent in the GSU that trains in the United States. Okay, so there is a very close relationship between Kenya and the United States in terms of security. So Kenya came out as a very good candidate in that perspective. Also, Kenya came out as a very good partner if you're looking at the policies that Kenya has right now. The administration that Kenya has right now of President Ruto has been very much pro-West, meaning that this administration has been looking at what they can do to be very close also to the United States. You remember the other administration of President Uhuru had been very close to China, but this one we've seen, everyone has seen, that this administration has been pro-West and has been very close to the United States. So all the requirements, all the characteristics were favoring Kenya to be part of this multinational support sector. So, but one thing is that this is not, the MSS is not a UN mission. As we said here before, time and time again, it is a UN-backed mission, because the MINUSTA in the UN mission that was helping Haiti did not give out results. So it had to be a different mission, backed by different countries, but with the blessings of the United States. So that is how you'll find that all situation came around and Kenya became the lead nation. Kenya is only a lead nation, but not the sole nation that is going to Haiti. You cannot go to another country by only yourself. And that is why you'll find that Benin, Chad, Bangladesh, Jamaica, and other countries that are around Haiti have pledged support to also send their troops in this multinational support security in Haiti. And that's why you'll also find Canada came in, also say that they will send some troops, and even France say that they will send some troops. But the bulk of these 2,500 people, 1,000 of them is Kenya. And that is how Kenya becomes a lead nation in this MSS support system. And just now, to go back at the UNSC, when President Ariel Henry put out that request, it was voted in the UNSC in the resolution 2699 of the UNSC. That is when the vote was taken last year, 2023. And among the 15 countries that were part of the UNSC sitting at that time, 13 supported, 2 abstained. Okay. All these nations that supported, of course, were in favor and say that this should go on, are led by Kenya. 2 of the ones who abstained were Russia and China. While they abstained, abstaining is just saying that you can go, but we will not give our remarks whether yes or no. But they have not said no. Okay. So that means that all the 15 countries agreed. That is how the UN takes vote. So it means that Russia and China, even though they abstained, they didn't have a problem with it. In fact, in their statements, they came out and said that this mission gives hope to Haitians. That is what Russia said. China said that this is a very good mission and has to be it has to make sure that they have the support of the people. So that is how Kenya was crowned to come out and take this role as the lead nation in the MSS. And following that, a lot of changes had to be made. Of course, at that time, it was Prime Minister Ariel Henry. As we spoke in another session here, because we don't want to also speak about that right now, Ariel Henry was unpopular in Haiti. And his unpopularity was impeding this peace process from going on. So one of the requests of also the member states that were supporting this mission was that it needs a legitimate government, a legitimate person who will be accepted. You know, it is a very, very tricky situation for you to support an administration that does not have the support of the people. Then you'll be implicating a shadow government that does not have that support and the will of the people. So that is why you found that it was after Prime Minister Ariel Henry had resigned. That is when Kenya was now coming to be active and say that now we'll send our forces after Gary Cornell, the current Prime Minister, came into play. So that is how Kenya managed to come to the position of even sending troops. The US pledged $300 million for this mission. Canada pledged 122 million, 80 million for this specific mission, and the rest for Haiti. So we had different countries pledging, and of course, one of the main agenda that Kenya also put out to the US was that you should support us in terms of resources and money, and second, make sure that the guns that are being smuggled from the United States have ceased to be smuggled to Haiti, because those are the same guns that are being used against the police officers. So those were the two main demands by Kenya to the United States before it went to Haiti.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. There's something that I know so many Kenyans want to know. How is Kenya benefiting? How is Kenya going to benefit from this war with Haiti? Because it's a war. You know very well that our Kenya police yesterday, I think it was yesterday you told us that our Kenya police was shot.
Yeah.
Now, people are losing life. People are going to lose life. And that is the honest truth.
Yes.
They are going to lose life because these people have guns.
Yes.
Barbecue team have guns. And they are gangs, even if they are not trained. They are gangs. You know very well that barbecue was in is in an army.
Yeah.
And I know very well that he has trained those gangs.
Yes.
How is Kenya going to benefit from this war with Haiti? How are they going to benefit?
Well, it is a matter that can be discussed in a very wholesome way. One, the basics. Yeah, you are sending troops there. Troops are going to be paid highly. Of course, not as the way they will be paid here. And you will be, in one way or another, benefiting their families and their economies here. That's the other day we got information that every soldier or every police officer that is in Haiti will be paid 183,000 Kenya shillings. So that is monies that, of course, it's higher than what they've been receiving here. But if you're looking at it in terms of Kenya, how Kenya will benefit, one is the kind of political mileage, global political mileage that Kenya will have after this. We know that, as I said in another episode, we have this competition here in Africa. Of course, no African nation has ever led a mission outside the African continent. Kenya is the first nation to lead a mission outside the African continent. So that is a record, a glass ceiling that Kenya has already broken. Two is that we have South Africa that we also competing with in terms of how we can respond to global issues. We've seen South Africa going to BRICS. They have taken a very bold move to go to BRICS, and that is supposed to be a security kind of an organization. Yeah, and of course, Kenya is also taking its own path in terms of security, and following this close collaboration with the United States and the West, we saw that just the other day, Kenya was named to be a US major non-NATO ally, and that came out of this close cooperation. So that means that also security-wise, Kenya is gaining as part of the first sub-Saharan Africa to achieve a major non-NATO, US non-NATO ally. As well as if you're looking at the statement that our former foreign cabinet secretary said, that Kenya is a country that looks at Pan-Africanism in terms of all people of African descent who not only are here in this country, but who are even outside the continent of Africa. So Kenya is positioning itself to be a country that cares about people of African descent across the world. So that is why you found that we answered the call of Haitians. They had a call, no country was going to assist them, but Kenya stepped forward and assisted and decided to take this odious task. It is a very, very difficult task. It is a task that many countries have been there and they failed to do. If at all Kenya will succeed and learn from the mistakes of MINUSTA, learn from the mistakes of other countries that have been there in Haiti, this will be a very, very important feat for this country, if at all we will achieve it. And it will mean a lot for our country going forward, and will position Kenya as one of the countries that has managed to do something that many countries did not do. Also, Kenya has been very, very categorical in supporting peace processes across the world, not only in Africa, name it Congo, name it Eritrea and etc., but also Somalia, but also even outside Africa. Kenya has sent its troops in East Timor. Kenya has sent its troops in Yugoslavia. And this has been very, very fundamental in supporting, in placing Kenya to be one of the lead nations that even was suggested for this kind of a mission. Also, if you're looking at in terms of capacity, this mission has or will improve our police capacity to be able to respond to issues that may face this country in future. Because as a cause of this mission, Kenya has managed to secure support in terms of capacity support from the United States. They came here in this country to train our police officers in close contact combat, in urban warfare, and etc. So they have also been given equipment that they will not otherwise have been given equipment of this kind of drills. So in terms of capacity, our police officers will, after the end of this, will have increased their capacity to respond to anything that will happen. And you know, Kenya is a country that has faced terrorism attacks in the borders of this country. You call it Dusit D2 attack, Westgate attack, Garissa attack. We've had these attacks. And if we are going to have our police officers well equipped and capacity built, then it will be better for our country because we'll be responding to these issues in a faster way. In terms of intelligence, we'll have intelligence to fight this. So it is a benefit also to our police officers in terms of their capacity, that the skills, the experience that they're going to learn there, they're going also to build our country. And something else is that we can always support our neighbors. So it is not just a Kenyan thing, it will be a regional thing. Our regional existence will also be better from this, because if at all Kenya will have the capacity to respond to these attacks, it will also assist our neighbors. You remember in 1961, I believe it is in 1961, the Kenya police has worked outside our country. In 1961, the GSU were sent to Zanzibar to quell down protests that were happening there. So it is not something that is a first. The Kenyan police officers have been sent outside our country, and this is only specific because it is outside the African continent. Most of the time it's our KDF forces that have been sent. This is also very good because now our police officers will get the experience they need, and these are some of the benefits that are going to to come out from this MSS mission.
Okay, thank you so much. So now our viewers know that Kenya is not going to get out empty-handed.
Yes.
It's very nice to see
Yes.
that our soldiers are highly trained, and I know that they are going to be successful.
Yes.
They have done 3 major projects. They have done 3 major projects, like rescuing the police station,
Yes.
the port, and also hospital, the biggest hospital in Haiti.
And major highways.
Even major highways.
Yes.
It's very amazing, and you highly appreciate. Last time we saw Larry Mado walking towards the market, which was very hard.
Yes.
People feared to go to Haiti, but seeing Larry Mado, the reporter of CNN, just walking through it
Yes.
nicely, thinks that everything is going to be okay and everything is going to be all right. What
Yes.
can you say as you are going to finish?
As we finish, we are still giving support to our police officers in Haiti. They are doing a very good job, and they are putting themselves out there for the betterment of our African brothers, regardless of where you are. As long as you are African, I think we have that close connection with you, because Africans have gone through a lot. And no one is going to save us. Someone said that no one is going to save Africa. It is Africans themselves to save themselves. So I think it is a good thing that Kenya is the one that took this initiative. And I'm positive. I think I am positive to know that it is possible that Haiti can return to law and order, if at all they want that. They should also be very, very eager to have law and order in their country, that it should not be a matter that is imposed to them. They should also be eager to know that to have law and order so that they can achieve it. I know these gangs are only 12,000 people, governing or managing 12 million people. It is, you can do it, you can ward off these people. You can discourage them as the Kenyan forces, the Haitian forces, and other MSS forces will be there battling those people with guns. The Haitian people can be there to battle it in terms of how people think. You can battle this gang mentality that our country doesn't need gangs. It needs a proper system. And of course, to the oligarchs, you are destroying your country. But of course, the MSS forces are there, and we hope they will achieve what they are supposed to achieve.
Yes, that's true. We hope for the best. Until next time, we say game over.